Anthony Hernandez proves tonight he is someone to watch in the middleweight division. I talked about his style coming in, his ability to just break guys, like very similar to Colby Covington, but just more exciting. More submission threats, more ground and pound, and the ground and pound is thrown with real intention. Coming into this matchup tonight, first main event, Michel Pereira on the other side, thriving at middleweight. A real big scary guy. And for the first round, for the first few minutes, it looked really dangerous. But styles make fights, and Fluffy's style, once it got going, it was over. He got him so tired by the end of the second round that I'm so surprised that it went all the way to the fifth, to be honest. Like, once he gets his style going, he just breaks guys. It's so fun to watch him drowning these guys, bringing them out into the deep water, and no one can swim with him out there. Even he, after the first 5 minutes, he's breathing really heavy, but doesn't take the stool, and he's just ready to go. His will is different. He's got this crazy mentality where he goes, I know I'm going to get tired trying to break you, but you're going to break first, so watch this. And it is a thing of beauty. He picks up the biggest win of his career by far, gets to showcase his style in a main event like we talked about. Yes, it's at the Apex, but he's getting exposure. He's getting a chance to prove himself over the 5 rounds, to show everyone that, yeah, I'm ready for these bigger names. And can you imagine him against some of the bigger names in this division? His style clashing with these really good strikers on the feet is going to be awesome. Imagine him against Imavov. Give me that all day, all day. I think he's going to be a real problem in this division. And I think he really showed us all tonight, because his style, everyone's known what he's good at, but for him to be able to prove it on this level against a guy in the top 15, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And he's slowly, quietly putting together a really good win streak. I think that's 6 in a row now, and a lot of finishes in there. So watch out for Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Rob Font is back. No one gave any credit to Rob Font coming in here tonight. And look what he does. It was a really tough first round. Kyler Phillips gets the takedown really early and controls him for most of that round. Seeing that, I go, here we go. It's another Rob Font decision loss. Coming into the fight, there was such a big gaping hole there. I know he's gone and, moved to train with Firas Zahabi, which tonight showed amazing improvements to his game. But after that first round, there was huge doubt that he was going to come back into this fight. And look at him. That second round was beautiful. It was like he turned on in that second round. To be able to turn the fight around like that against such a young killer just shows his experience and why he's so, so good and been at the top of this division for so long. This matchup was a passing of the torch. Rob Font giving Phillips the opportunity to showcase himself in the top 10. And Rob Font reminds everyone, I'm here to stay. And he's the ultimate gatekeeper of the top 10. He's, lost to the guys who are above that level, that top 10 level. And I think Phillips will get there one day. He just showed tonight that he couldn't put it together in the ways that he needed to beat Rob Font. Rob Font gets the unanimous decision and get some new life back in his game. He's training with Firas Zahabi now, and those improvements really showed tonight. For someone to keep rebuilding themselves like Rob Font has so many times in the UFC, credit to you, man, because that is the toughest thing to do in this sport. Taking loss, rebuild, taking another loss, rebuilding, continuing to do that over your career. In the top organization, the UFC, especially in the bantamweight division, where the skills are progressing so quickly. Testament to Rob Font. He really, really reminded everyone tonight that he's one of the top dogs in this division. The rest of the card, Charles G. Johnson getting a really nice technical decision win over Sumaderji. He's, like we talked about, another guy who's starting to really put it together and find his confidence and find his feet in the UFC. You know, he's taken a few losses in the UFC early in his career to guys he probably shouldn't have lost to. But now he's putting it all together and beating a really, really dangerous guy in Sumadurgi. Charles Energy Johnson, one of my favorite guys to watch in that division. He won a fan out of me in those Tiger Muay Thai tryouts on YouTube. Go check those out if you haven't, because those are fucking crazy. And just goes to show you someone's will to be able to get through something like that and win it. He's coming into the prime of his life, and his skills have never looked better. So I can't wait to see what he goes and does next, because always watching very closely. Charles Energy Johnson, a great, great performance tonight. Cameron Smotherman. This was a really interesting performance between a debuting fighter in the UFC on short notice in Smotherman, someone who's had experience in the Contender Series, and he's got a really pretty style. I've been a fan of his, seen a couple of his knockouts. I know he trains with Adrian Yanez, and coming into this fight, it was a really, really tough test against Jake Hadley, who has been in the UFC now for a long time. Yes, he's a bit smaller for this division, just moving up, and it showed tonight, I thought, because even though Jake Hadley has the better grappling skills, the wrestling skills, he wasn't able to implement that at all. Smotherman did a really good job of staying off the cage, staying off the ground, and his volume tonight was absolutely crazy. As well, it was a bit of a weird fight, with all of the stoppages due to the fouls. There was a point taken for that eye poke. That was a really, really bad one. I think there was 4 minutes of break or something. So I can't even imagine how that interrupts the pacing of the fight for both guys, especially for Hadley. So he was training for a completely different guy, another wrestler, and he gets a really dynamic striker who threw him off his game tonight and proved that, hey, he belongs in the UFC. So hats off to Smotherman. He looked super, super put together for someone so young in his career. And to do that on short notice, super impressive. The damage, Darren Elkins. We talk about people who have been doing this for the longest time at the top of this sport. Look no further than Darren Elkins. He's got the damage tattooed on his chest. I don't know how this zombie is still doing it. Every single Darren Elkins fight looks the exact same, putting himself into these brawls and just trying to break your will. If you've got better skills than him and you're able to implement those, you can beat Darren Elkins. But if you can't, you are going to go into absolute hell. Even Volkanovski, coming into the UFC, couldn't finish Darren Elkins. The guy, again, proves how tough he is. His grappling is legit. He's scrambling. His pace is so crazy. When is that guy going to die? Darren Elkins, one of the craziest, most savage people in the UFC, and again, completely lives up to his name and throws in a really exciting performance, retiring Daniel Pineda. Didn't actually get a chance to check out any of the prelims. PFL, Tim Tszyu, there was so much happening this weekend. I hope you guys check those events out as well, because there were some really, really fun combat sports this weekend. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you could please like and subscribe, it really, really helps the channel, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. We'll talk again soon.